Okay, people. So, thanks to DDP, I was able to check out the new film Emancipation. And to be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to go see this. And not for any Oscar related thing. It's just, I'm kind of done with slavery films. You know, they never make you feel good, never make you feel good. You know what I mean? But yeah, got the opportunity. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I thought it was a shitty day, thought it might cheer things up. It did not. I forgot. It's not the film to see to cheer yourself up. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's a lot to I think there's a lot to like about this film, right? It is directed by Antonio no, and I always flub this dude's name. And Tonin Farouk. I think I flubbed it again. Written by Bill Collage. The film is produced by uh, Joey McFarland, um, John Moore, John Moon, I think Todd Black and Will Smith. It's executive produced by Heather Washington, Cliff Roberts, James Lasseter, Scott Greenberg, Farouk, Chris Brigham, and Glenn Bassner, and Kate Samick, associate producers. Marcelo Zaros handles the music, Robert Richardson, cinematography, Conrad Buff the fourth edits the film, Lindsey Graham and Mary Vermew handle the casting. Production design was Naomi Shahan. Art direction is Ann Costa, Tom Froling, and Shamin Sifazidea. Set decoration, Cassie Catalantonotto and Cynthia Lajeunesse. Costume design, Francine Jamison Tanuch. And our cast. Let's get to that. Well, Will Smith plays Peter. We have got Ben Foster as Jim Fazal. Charmaine Bingwa plays Dedine, Peter's wife. I feel it's his wife. They're dating. I mean, it's essentially the wife. Whether they were allowed to marry, you know, who knows? But yeah, they were together. Their children, Betsy, is played by Imani Perlman. Scipion is played by Jemiah Friedlander. Lorette is played by Jordan McIntosh. And little Peter is played by Landon Chase Dubious. We got Gordon, played by Gilbert Ua. Harrington, played by Ronnie Jean Blevins. Knowles, played by Aaron Moten. Thomas, played by Jabba Lewis. John is played by Michael Lowell. Howard, Stephen Ogg. Leeds, Grant Harvey. Lieutenant Andrew Kolalu is played by Mustafa Shahir. I believe he was in Cyrano. Major G. Halstead is played by Paul Benvictor. Mike Hurley, Jesse C. Boyd. General William Dwight, played by David Dimon. We got Trap, played by Austin Alexander. Bijou, played by Britton Webb. Captain John Lines, played by Jason Warner Smith. Yeah, I mean, that's essentially, I feel, the main people. Sister Margaret is played by Kay Steele. R. Lewis Fabian is played by Mark Ashworth. McPherson is played by Walker Babington. Oliver, played by Dave Davis. Sergeant Major James Ingram, played by Damian D. Smith. Colonel John Thomas, Adam Stevenson, Mrs. John Thomas, Melissa Lehman. Yeah, I think that's probably it, really. There's a load of people. I mean, you imagine there's a load of people floating around and doing their thing. The gist of the story is this: it tells the triumphant story of Peter. Well, I think his real name is actually Gordon, and people knew him as Wit Peter. I think Peter was a name given to him by his slavers. But he's a man who escapes from slavery, relying on his wit, unwavering faith, and deep love for his family to evade cold-blooded hunters and the unforgiving swamps of Louisiana on his quest to freedom. The film is inspired by the 1863 photos of Whipped Peter taken during a Union Army medical examination that first appeared in Harper's Weekly. So there was an image known as the Scourged Back, which shows off the keloid scarring that mutilated Peter's back after a whipping delivered by his enslavers. And they say the photo ultimately contributed to growing public opposition to slavery. I mean, like you needed a fucking photo. You know what I mean? This is how crazy it is. It's just like, I mean, slavery, right? Oh, that picture that looks bad. Yeah, I think we probably need to believe this is a bad thing. I mean, there's so many other things that showed how bad slavery was, you know? But yeah, that's the gist of things. Now, as I said, look, there's things to really like about this, and the color palette that is utilized. It does give this feeling of oppression, right? It's this dire, kind of haze over everything. So it feels ominous, right? I think that I've not really seen that, and it does work very well. There are some problems because differentiating between night and day, that's a little, so it's because when they run, you're kind of like, it should be night, right? I mean, we should have a night time, but it's hard to track the time. Now, in reality, he was on the run for 10 days. We have no real notion of time during the film, right? How long he's actually on the run for. We don't really, there's nothing to go in day one, day two, or just knowing, right? We've had Oh, we've had 9 nights. Okay, right. 10 days. Okay. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. So it does interfere with that a little bit, but to create that atmosphere, it does work really well. Does work really well. Um, and I think the depiction of like slavery, you know, it's not everyone's happy singing, like it's not trying to paint it in any other light than what it is, you know. I think so that's good. Now, it gets a little bit, I think the flow of the story can be problematic at times. Now, there's atmospheric music throughout, which I found irritating. But I will say I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan, right? So unless it is done exceptionally well, it's always going to irritate me. So this is a thing that might not irritate everyone. It irritated me. Okay. Just because there's scenes that would be powerful enough. We don't need ominous music to be like, this is bad. You know what I mean? We can tell. You know what I mean? What's happening right now is not good. So you have that. The other thing is, and it's only something that you realize after seeing the back, right? Someone that's got whipped that badly, and he reels off all these other things that have happened to him. You kind of think something else would have had, like because we see someone get branded. I feel he would have been branded. You know what I mean? There would have been other things that have gone down. So yeah, that was like at the beginning. It kind of felt that he hadn't had. Now, do you say I hadn't had it that rough? Is not to go, you know what I mean? Oh, slavery, it's a picnic. But what I mean is, as I said, no branding, no whipping, no, like, you wouldn't have thought any of that. So it's just like they're inside the house. There's these things that you think, I'm not sure if that works on a narrative basis. If, you know what I mean? Like, he's gone through all of this stuff, right? Another thing, and it's one of those things that you get a lot in a film which is trying to depict someone as being a hero, as being the person that did all this stuff, right? And it's always weird because, look, you can be heroic and not be necessarily always good, or not always lead the way. You know what I mean? Now, in this, it's we have Gordon Peter, whatever you want to call him, as the one to kind of the only one really standing up to the slavers, right? Only one. Which, when you get his, like, the way, there's a scene later in the film after he's been like taken to the front line kind of thing, that okay, his demeanor is this, right? But you've got him being like standing up, but it's in a way where the consequences ain't going to be good for anyone, right? And the way he kind of acts and talks in other parts, you'd be like, he's more, it would seem that he's more measured, right? He understands, okay, this isn't the time to make a stand here, right? I've got to think about the consequences. But then the other ones, he's doing it, and you're like, he's very inconsistent. And if we're to believe he's this type of person, I don't know if he's doing that all the time. You feel me? Another problem for me was the swamp, right? Because He's got cuts. He's got cuts. You're in a swamp. You've got a fever after day one. Do you know what I mean? Like that infected water is in your system. You are feverish. There's parasite. There's all manner of things which are fucking you up. And especially when you haven't got fresh water. It's not like you're drinking fresh water every day. You're eating food every day. No. So the strength is like you are done. You're not making 10 days. You know what I mean? So there's that. And the film did lose me a little bit from one situation. Right now, you youngsters probably ain't going to remember. There was an episode of Happy Days where the Fonz jumped a shark. Right? I think he was on a jet ski, right? He was a jet ski and he jumps a shark, where the expression comes from. There's no jumping of sharks, but there is a situation with a crocodile, and that, yeah, that was just like, what the fuck? No. Now, it was a thing because they're walking through swamps, right? And there's so many films where you have people wading into swamps or rivers, and there's never snakes, there's never crocodiles, and you're just like, what, really? What the fuck? And there's other things as well. It's not just snakes and crocodiles. There's plenty of motherfucking things that can fuck you up in a fucking swamp, you know? So I was pleased that there were crocodiles. It's just the frequency of those crocodiles was a little bit like, really? I get the especially after the first thing, right? You think there's going to be more, right? Other, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was a fucking just a crazy thing, around this whole crocodile situation, which, yeah, that did really pull me out of things. It really did, because it was it's so insane, people. You know what I mean? Now, when they escape, there's 4 of them, right? And it gets to 3. But we only really follow Peter Gordon. We only really follow him. You know what I mean? Now, we bump into one of the others, but yeah, we're only with, and you're just like, what? Doesn't make any. No, that's just it's kind of, don't have him escape with as many people if you're not going to follow them, because they're all in the same situation, you know. Now, because they probably got family, they've got people they want to get back to. It's not just Peter Gordon who's trying to get back to his wife and kids, you know. So the fact that we don't pay any attention to the others just seems weird. It just seems really weird, you know. That, like, the idea of splitting up didn't necessarily make any sense, and for 2 of them to meet up did seem a little like, after with all the things you see going on, you're just like, huh? Like, I don't feel they would be in the same place after all of that, right? But there's these things that don't necessarily make any sense. Being able to climb a tree after days of starvation, you know, a little problematic. Now, this is one, and I talk about this in other stuff, right? The fact that there's no shaving, you know, beards stay perfect. You know what I mean? It's just like, where's, like, you'd be stubble, your hair be growing. Like, people don't age. You know what I mean? Like, there's big chunks of time when, you know, he's been away and all of it. People don't age. right? There's these odd things that they don't. I don't know if they don't think about it or just think, no one's gonna notice. I don't know, right? It's very odd, very odd. And oh, along with the whole, yes, he's the only one that stands up. Again, in the army, he's like the only. Everyone seems scared, and he pushes for, and you're just like, I don't buy that. These are people that have been doing this. You know what I mean? No, 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 no. We don't have to do that. We don't have to, diminish others to go, yes, this is the person that was. You know what I mean? It's always a weird situation. And I know this is based on a true story, right? There's the photo and all of that kind of thing. But the one thing I do not understand is slaves would, run and try to join Lincoln's army. That was a known thing, right? So, if that's the case, he shouldn't be the first, keloid back that they have seen. So, I want to know why that was the, I mean, the picture that was taken. Now, no, right? You could say it's the first time they had photographers to take the photo. That works, right? But to everyone be shocked that they've seen this back seems a little bit odd. A little bit odd when you're dealing with all these people that have escaped, all these people that have escaped. There's going to be whips, there's going to be brandings, there's going to be mutilations, there's going to be all of this stuff. So I don't believe you're going to be like, oh, I've never seen that before. You're going to be like, oh, fuck, again? This is like the thought of disgust, right? Just the frustration, like, how, why is this keeping happening? This is horrendous. Like that I get, but we didn't get that. Right. So yeah, there's these things that don't necessarily make sense. There is some solid acting. There is some definitely solid acting in here. We do have some weird accents. We definitely have some weird accents. There is this one scene. Girl's not in it for long. This little girl, the glee as she rings this bell. Oh, it's palpable. There is such a horrific scene, but played so well because you buy this maniacal, like what's going down. It's just like, fuck, man. That's so rough. So yeah, there is definitely some good acting. Will, he's pretty solid. There is the typical Will overacting though, right? Playing things a little like there's a bit with a mirror, and he's like, oh, what, oh, and just it goes for too long. Right? A bit like the whole Shrek thing in friggin' I Am Legend. There is some scenes like that where he's just like forcing it, forcing it. But yeah, we do get some really good performances from people. It's, yeah, I don't know, right? I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It didn't make me happy. Didn't make me happy. I kind of put it up there with 20 years, 30 years. What's the one that's 10 years a slave? Is it 10 years a slave? It's something like that, right? I feel about Emancipation as I did about that one. But yeah, it's on Apple this Friday. So if you want to watch this, then it's there. I don't believe it's verbatim, historical fact, but it's based on true things. So, yeah, there you go, people. Emancipation. And I will also say, because the slap, That comes up all the time, right? I think you can separate an incident from a product. Film is a product, right? The film isn't getting judged. Well, definitely not from me on what happened then. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Like, you have to be sensible about these things, you know? You look at the film for what it is, you know? And so yeah, it's on Apple, people. Yeah, if it feels like something you're gonna, be interested in, then yeah, go check it out.